My name is Galen Barnhardt. I'm the winemaker at Monte Creek Ranch Winery, which is in the Thompson Valley, about half an hour east of Kamloops, BC.
Perfect. So now BC is in a moment of high interest across the world, and there are tastings being done in London.
Sure.
What do you find is the thing that consumers are looking for the most when they're looking at BC?
It goes along with any sort of the great terroirs of the world. That's exactly what they're looking for. They want something that is a representation of place, and I really feel like BC has no choice but to go premium and to have that representation of terroir. We're a small industry at its core, so ultimately that's going to be our best bet.
For you, what does terroir mean?
It's, as the French say, it's the sense of place. I come from the Thompson Valley, which is unique unto its own. Sure, it shares a lot of similarities with the Okanagan Valley. It's dry, it's low humidity, it's hot, all that sort of stuff. But there's a lot to it that would differentiate it as well. It's the soil, it's the aspect, it's many things. But not only that, it's the people who are working with it as well. We're relatively new. Our first vintage was done in 2013. And the actual facility itself there in the South Thompson was completed in 2014. So we're a relatively new player, but we are 18,000 cases, so we're the biggest one in that area and sort of medium size on the BC market.
And if you can describe Thompson in a couple of words, what would you find is the quintessential part of that?
I think certainly pushing the boundaries. I think that's kind of where the exciting wines are being made, is when you push those boundaries a little bit and see what the grapes can do when they're sort of stressed out to their limits.
Well, one of the things is you'll always kind of be compared to the big brother, and do you find that there are apt comparisons between, say, Thompson, the Okanagan, Similkameen maybe?
Absolutely, but at the same time, I can see it in the wines alone that there are obvious differences. The diurnal temperature fluctuations are a little bit different. The season is a little bit different. So it's a little bit shifted for us. So as much as there are similarities, there's always going to be obvious things that come up, and that's something that we're still discovering there in the Thompson Valley as well. As we progress and get a few vintages under our belt, we'll really start to understand what it is that makes our terroir special.
For you, what was it that brought you to the winemaking game?
For me personally, it was just a passion for food and wine, but I was also a science geek from when I was a kid, so it was just a perfect opportunity to sort of combine those two passions. You are analytical, I can't help but even in the morning I'll be swirling a glass of orange juice and catch myself, right? And it's all kind of a part of it. But there are opportunities where you kind of have to just sit back and enjoy a wine for what it is. And I think that's also important when you're coming to make a wine, is as much as you want to be technical about it, at the end of the day, you're producing something that you just want people to love. So if it tastes good, even if maybe it's technically flawed, maybe the pH is just a little bit off, sometimes you have to throw that out the window.
A lot has been talked about sometimes where regions need to find themselves a signature grape. First of all, do you find that important? And would you say that Thompson now has one or is looking for one?
It's funny, BC has always struggled with that, but part of that is because the geography from north to south is just so long. So what succeeds in the South Okanagan doesn't succeed in the north. Thompson Valley itself is quite a large region, but if I had to put a finger on it, I would definitely say Riesling is sort of true to our core. It's well adapted to those hot days that we have, but it can also handle those cool nights, preserving that beautiful acidity. So that's the one that I think is going to be the future of our region.
And what about reds?
Red Pinot Noir, absolutely. It will be about finding a little bit cooler sites, much like in the Okanagan. Sometimes those heat spikes can work against you at Pinot Noir, but if you find those slightly cooler sites, I think it can be beautiful up there. We've got really calcareous soils, so they can be limestone or dolomite based, and as we know, some of the best terroir in the world for Pinot Noir is limestone based.